We are back. It's Forza Naples. Thank you for listening. My name's Ian, joined as always by Paul. Paul, it finally happened. FC Naples 0, One Knoxville 1. A penalty kick puts FC Naples' first loss in the record books, coming right before halftime. Unfortunate, lots of good things to take away from the match. Again, it's going to be hard for other teams to beat us, falling 1-0, but off of a penalty kick and a soft one at that. What did you make of this game?
Yeah, I think that the penalty was harsh. I don't think that that's given very often, and one that VAR would. I don't know if they necessarily would have overturned it, but it definitely wouldn't have awarded it. Um, and it's a tough way to answer the disappointing loss in PKs and a couple nights before, and based on Delgado's effort in PKs, I did not have very much hope once the penalty was given that he was going to save it, considering he only had the one save out of 10. Um, but you're right. Positives, right? An early season loss. It was bound to happen. In a loss that you still played well against a good team, and that's something to note that it wasn't a team that's at the bottom. It's a team that's done really well so far, and was also hungry off of their cup loss. So, gotta look at the positives for this one. And we are still top of the table, although Knoxville, we have a few more games than Knoxville has, but overall, it looked like we had some good squad rotation. More guys played, some good minutes, and we got a long layoff. It feels like for our schedule of a week, to start the Jägermeister Cup.
Yeah, big squad rotation game, and I think it was really a tale of two halves almost. FC Naples came out right away, and we came out swinging. Had a huge chance right off the opening kickoff. It seemed making their keeper make a great save, which he made. And then we were kind of peppering them, and then one Knoxville really stepped up, kind of from the maybe 15-20th minute through the end of halftime. And they were coming at us from all angles, that's where I think we kind of showed our hand with the squad rotation that had happened. Just some guys that haven't played a whole lot, haven't really gotten the opportunity to play, and it was unfortunate. Like you said, the penalty, I did think it was soft. I mean, it's one of those 50-50s where you're right. I don't think either way, VAR's not going to overturn that. If you put it in MLS, if you put it in the Premier League where there is VAR, I think if it's called a penalty on the field, I think it stands. If it's not called a penalty, I don't think VAR is going to come in and give the penalty for that. The striker just kind of got the wrong side of Ian Garrett, and it looks like just kind of stuck his arms out, and striker went over, penalty. Contact, yes. Soft, yeah, probably. But then, yeah, when that Tequila stepped up for them, which is a crazy
Great
spelling
name.
of tequila. When he stepped up to take the penalty kick, he was the best player all night for them, I thought. So yeah, he buried it. Delgado had a couple great saves too in the first half, and then just unfortunate, really. And then from 46 minute onward, it was them just time wasting, and they were just going to try and get out of this with a 1-0 win. And we brought on some of the normal starting 11 at halftime. I think Matt Poland, that was the plan all along. But then, especially being down 1-0, he was forced to make those changes right at halftime. And then it was a different half. We dominated possession. We had opportunities going forward, but One Knoxville really didn't let us do what we do best, and that's bringing the ball down the wing with pace and then playing it into the box. They took that away. They knew what they were doing. It was a gritty 1-0 win by them.
Which is the challenge too when you're down at home trying to get that goal, and the other, Knoxville can park the bus, and they don't need to be super aggressive because they have the lead. But you mentioned the weaker back end of the squad. We've spent a lot of time talking about the schedule, and you're going to need more than 11. And it looks like 13 through 16 might be a little bit iffy. I think we've got one or two good subs that can come in and could be, regular 11 starters. But, after playing 120 minutes, and then coming back 48 hours later and having to do it all over again, especially with the Jägermeister Cup, you might be seeing extra time played. Well, they don't do extra time. They go straight to PKs.
Straight to PKs in the Jägermeister Cup, yeah.
But still, a lot of minutes, a lot of miles on the legs. I think we'd have a better excuse if one of those matches were away. Knoxville had all the excuses, and fortunate for them, the whistle went their way, and they were able to come out of Naples with 3 points, which hasn't happened this year, and I don't think it's going to happen. Quite frankly, I don't think it's going to happen very often in league play. So I think mentioning the positives, like the team looked better in the second half with our regular guys.
Oh yeah.
Delgado
I mean,
did make a couple of saves.
Even in the first half, I didn't think we looked bad. I didn't think we played poorly in the first half. I think One Knoxville knew what they were doing and was trying to. They just wanted one goal, and then they were just going to park the bus and kind of grind it out. Not a knock on those players whatsoever, but I think it's just we've had kind of that same core 12, 13 guys. And then when we do bring in a couple fresh legs, I think it's just inexperience in the league. I mean, this is high level of soccer too.
And it's a chemistry thing too. We talked about that
Right.
early in the year with our starters. When you're trying to play it through the midfield, you need to know where those guys are going to be. And when you're not getting regular reps with all those guys, it can be a challenge to see success. But all in all, I still think that, when we first did our episode in February or whatever it was, if you would have told us where we'd be in the league, I think that we would be pretty pleased with 4 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. I think sitting with 14 points in 7 games, I think we both would have taken that in February.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, averaging over 2 points a game, or averaging right at 2 points a game, impressive. And that's what we've kind of been saying all along. Got to keep picking up points. Got to keep picking up points. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. The chances were there. The credit to Knoxville where it's due. They played a heck of a game and knew what they were doing that whole second half to take away the opportunities from us. And I think it'll be interesting to see how other teams in the league, if they're able to kind of execute a very similar game plan to what One Knox did to us last week.
Yeah, in the 14 points, it's been a good sample too, it seems like. Obviously, we're still in that point of the league where everybody's kind of uneven games. But I think Knoxville's proven that they're going to be a top. Just the fact that beating us at our place makes them a upper part of the table, if not top of the table, at some point in the year. But we have beaten some other teams. Both Richmond and Spokane have double-digit points. And then obviously we've done what we needed to against 3 of the bottom 4, but those guys all have only played. Tech's almost played 5, and looks like they're going to be the team that everybody beats up on this year. But Madison's 1, 2, and 1, with 2 being the draws. In Portland Heart of Pines, their only losses to us. So our schedule, I wouldn't say has been easy. Maybe not the hardest, maybe not the easy. Still too early to tell, but something that our 14 points do matter. And there's reason to be excited and not. It's a long season, and if we're gonna beat the team up over every loss, it's gonna be a really long and sad year. So. Even the best in Europe lose every once in a while. So, next game. And unfortunately, they got a week to recover. And look forward to the Battery, Charleston Battery.
Yeah, I think we said a few weeks ago too, this 4-game home stretch is going to be really tough. With Richmond, who's a very good team. We took care of them 2-1. That was another hard fought, just you're exhausted at the end of it just watching it kind of match. And then you get the Rowdies that Wednesday. Another heartfelt, emotional, 120 minutes going out in penalties, and then you have to turn around, like you said, 48 hours later, and you're playing One Knoxville, who's another great team in this league. Unfortunate there, but yeah, now we've got a transition in Charleston on Saturday, 7 p.m. First game of the Jägermeister Cup. So if you're listening at home, go ahead and break out that Jägermeister out of the freezer. If you're like me, you've had a bottle of it just sitting in there forever. Time to get it out. Let's get some shots of Jaeger to going.
Yeah, and I think we talked about after the Rowdies game where we were looking forward to this one too, just based on how they matched up earlier in the year. Doing a little bit of a deeper dive on Charleston, I think it's going to be a really fun test for us. I would say the confidence level for me is less than it was after the Rowdies game, and not due to the loss, but I think just based on how Tampa looked and how Charleston's looked in their games since their 2-1 victory over Tampa Bay. I think this is going to be the best offense we've seen, and Delgado is going to be challenged a lot. And the question is how often is he going to be able to answer the call? I mean, he had multiple saves Saturday. I think depending on where you look, it's either 4 or 5 saves, and yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, definitely a big. We were talking before we started recording. Gonna be a big test for our back line. This Charleston team comes in. They've played 6 games in the USL Championship so far. They've scored 11 goals in those 6 games. They've won 4 games, lost 2, so they are beatable. They've scored 11 goals, given up 7. So I think it's going to be a battle of who breaks first. Almost, is it going to be their back line, and are we going to be able to do what we've been kind of doing to teams all year, just getting the ball out wide with pace, or making them make mistakes at the back and punishing them? Or are they going to really put our back line to the test, and it'll could be a long game, but I'm excited to see how our back line and how our midfield stack up against them.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting if Charleston gets the first goal, what their strategy is going to be. If they're going to keep pressing, looking for number 2. Obviously, it depends on timing of that goal. But we had the answer for the Rowdies, and I like to think that if halftime didn't save Knoxville, we could have had an answer for them quickly. But that'll be interesting. I'm going to think that the speed of the midfield is going to be better than Tampa's was. So once again, what team are we going to see? Are we going to see the team that's trying to make 80-yard passes, or are we going to see the team that goes to the midfield? I would say that our home field advantage, probably not as much. Charleston's also used to the hot, muggy evenings.
Right.
Championship club. Yeah, the downside of being the amateur podcasters is, I don't have a full scouting report on Charleston. I can look at their website and see, Cal Jennings seems like he's going to be a problem. 5 goals on 14 shots. But that's
Yeah, and then we saw today too. Battery signed Rubio Rabin, former MLS player, Guatemalan international. Lots of experience around the league. Was playing in Liga MX, or MX, if you will. Bring my Spanish out a little bit.
nice.
For Quintero, 16 appearances for them, 3 goals in that league, but played for Real Salt Lake for quite a bit. Made almost 80 appearances for them, 11 goals in that time. So will we see him maybe coming off the bench 70th minute for them? A proven player, proven MLS quality player, playing in the USL Championship now.
And he's done well for Guatemala internationally. Again, a quick Google search would tell you that. I think he's got 11 goals, 30 fixtures in the past 2 years and some change. So you're right. Even though he hasn't played a lot of league ball recently, he scored a big goal in the Gold Cup qualifier for Guatemala. That would be really cool. And I think that's what the beauty of the Jägermeister Cup, the US Open Cup, is seeing some of these higher level. Not that he's spent any time in one of the top leagues, but still top in the Americas, playing in the two top flights of American soccer. Um, I'm hoping that there's rust and that he's not going to get much burn Saturday. And I think if there is any, but for Charleston, that'd be a great opportunity in the 70th minute. Around there, just give him a few minutes to run around and see what could happen. Um, would just be another guy that will cause problems for the back line. Um, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how, I think I've said it before, how we stack up. It's going to be a really good like benchmark game for us, a measuring stick game, just to
Mhm.
see. Okay, we've been very good so far. How are we going to do against one of the best teams in the USL Championship this season? A team that's able to score kind of at will. They've been winning games 3-1, 4-1, no problem. How do we stack up against that as a new team, as a USL League One team who's played 7 games, but we're still all kind of feeling each other out. So this should be fun. I'm excited to see what we can do, and I do think we may be able to grind out, a 1-1, maybe 2-2 draw. Heck, maybe we get a late winner and win it 2-1. You never know. But I'm excited to see what this team's capable of.
Yeah, and you got to think that this is probably going to be the best team in the group. Um, I'm looking at the other teams in the group, and I don't think that there's going to be anybody else that is as good as them. Obviously, the Rowdies are. We got a couple championship teams. I think we got
Yeah,
three.
Greenville and South Georgia Tormenta are also in the group. The USL Championship teams are the Rowdies, like you mentioned, Miami FC, and then Charleston.
Yeah, so Charleston's sitting in the upper echelon of their league. So I think that this is going to be the best team on our schedule this year. And I agree, a benchmarking game. And I think that there's only going to be cause for overreaction when we do the post game recap. I
Right.
think if, regardless of the outcome, I think there's only positives that we will be able to take away from it because, um, this team should beat us and is what they're supposed to do on paper. So if we come out, play well, keep it to a draw or, one goal either way. And if we win, obviously that's where the overreactions start to come in. But if it goes sideways, you take it as a learning lesson, move on. More important games down the road and probably one of the best teams in the Jägermeister Cup.
Yeah. For those who are listening and are not familiar with the Jägermeister Cup, they've split up. This is second year of the tournament. Last year was all USL League One. This year is USL League One and USL Championship sides, all put into groups of either 6 or 7 teams. The top team advances out of each group with 2 wildcard spots on the line. Everyone only plays 4 games though, so you're not going to play everyone in your group. And then it is 3. If you win the match outright in 90 minutes, 3 points for a win, no points for a loss. And then all matches, if they're tied at the end of regulation or at the end of 90 minutes, go to straight to penalties, like Paul mentioned. And then if you win on penalties, kind of like a hockey style, you get an extra point. If you lose on penalties, you get 1 point for the draw. And then out of all these second place teams, there'll be 2 wild card teams, and apparently the tiebreaker is goals scored. But I really want to know what the third tiebreaker, what the next tiebreaker is. If it's going points, goals scored, goals against.
So the
It's
third one is wins in group play, total wins. So I'm gonna guess that incorporates. Uh, so this one head to head earned in group play. So I'm gonna guess if that's two teams in the same group, maybe
that's the tiebreaker there.
then it's total wins in group play, and then goals against in group play, goal differential, and then your favorite cards, and then coin toss. Um, this is going to be my hot take, and I've thought this before I got into soccer. I like it less now, but what are your thoughts on the Jägermeister style being brought into league play, where every game has 3 points on the line, and if it's tied after 90, you go into a shootout for that extra point?
I don't
You're the
like it.
soccer purist. I love it for the cup. And I like I said, I did think that that would be great for league play. Just that way, every game there's a winner, and I think that that would appeal to Americans. But I think it would just make standing so interesting with that extra point. You know, penalties are really a wild card, and anytime you see if you follow betting odds and teams go to PKs, like it's almost always 110 on either side. You know, there isn't really a huge advantage.
Yeah, MLS Next Pro I think is trying this now, where if the game's tied, it goes into penalties, and I penalties I think are my hot take is penalties are dumb. Yeah, it's exciting, it's thrilling, but it's real like there's no real
Mm.
skill involved either way. You've got it's a lot of pressure more so than anything, and it's putting a ball in a net from 12 yards out. And you got to get lucky. And I hate the stuttered step penalty. There's just a lot wrong with it in my head. I'd rather if yeah, I mean there's the soccer purist in me appreciates the 1-1 nil-nil draws a lot more from just okay, hard fought battle 1-1. We agree we're both going to take a point out of this compared to hard fought battle. Well, now let's go have spot kicks and we'll
Yeah.
we'll see who's really gonna take home. I also hate the penalty shootout in hockey. I know that's what you're comparing it to. I hate that too.
Yeah, and I agree. Well, especially now too, hockey went to the best out of three. Is even
Yeah.
worse. Now the best out of five seemed to go way too long. Far too often those just kept getting drawn out. And I like what they're doing in the E trying for seven. At least in hockey, like there's not really an advantage necessarily. Like it's goalie in their skill involved in that. Like really, the goalie's guessing, the striker's guessing, and unfortunately for the goalie, you can guess right and still be wrong.
Yeah.
So it is yeah, I think penalties. It's really an unfortunate way to lose, and that's probably the fan that's bitter that's how we just got eliminated um, from the U.S. Open Cup. Um, yeah, just a thought. Just a thought. I think it'll be interesting to see how it works in the Jägermeister Cup, and I do think for cup games, especially in a group play setting, um, I think that it is. I don't know. We'll see. This is the first time I paid attention to it, so we can talk in October after we see how it plays out and what impacts it has.
Yeah, and like you said, I think the casual fan, like I think of the parent index, like our parents, if it goes to penalties, they would love that. They would eat that up.
Hmm.
Especially if it's like the penalties against the Rowdies where you've got, Labara 239 making the march and banging the
Hmm.
drums all the way down the stadium trying to get there in time. My mom still talks about that happening from the excitement and the anticipation building up to it. So I think you'd get the casual fans with that, and they would really enjoy that. But the soccer purist in me is just like, no, let's just share the points. Or even if we want to go full tournament, get rid of penalties, then let's have a replay like they used to do in the FA Cup until this year.
Yeah, I think the replay is a way better option. Like if we're gonna do that, because I really don't love extra time either. It's in a long year, it's taxing to play those extra 30
Yeah,
minutes. And if you want I get it, and I don't quite remember the replays. I think they went to extras if the replay was
if
still
it was
tight.
still tied,
They
yeah,
would
I'd go to
do.
extra time
So now you're
then.
talking an extra 120 minutes before ultimately, like typically you've played 180 minutes of soccer. Just go to PKs at that point, extra games. But it it'll be interesting too because it's not a fair comparison to other like the World Cup, where there's only four teams in the group, like smaller groups where everybody
Right.
plays each other. I think you almost need that in this cup where you don't play everybody, where every point is going to be crucial, and I think that's where it's going to be interesting. It it's going to be a weird sample size because you don't play everybody. Does winning in PKs bring a team that was going to be in third if it was just normal 1 point for the draw? Can a team leapfrog because they get the extra point by winning in PKs? It'll be an interesting experience, and just like everything else in this league, it's going to be fun. It's going to be madness, um, and really just hoping there's at least one or two USL League One teams that can find their way into the knockout stage.
Yeah, it's looking at the groups. They did it based off of geography, so I think
Hmm.
there's some groups. I mean, we've seen AV Alta so far just keeps winning everything on penalties in the Open Cup. So could they take home that group? But that's a tough group with some good USL championship sides in it. But yeah, I think
Well, as a future Oakland Roots fan, I can let you know that they are bad. They are not
yeah.
good. So that I do know about Oakland.
I think anyone playing in the Oakland Coliseum is just doomed to being bad
Just do.
forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be a really fun tournament. Again, streaming on ESPN Plus. I'll probably try to catch a couple games. It should just be fun all around. Fun four matches. Fun to have us playing against some championship sides. I already can't wait for the away day to Miami at the end of next month. It's gonna be fun. This too is the last home game for almost a month. FC Naples will hit the road next Saturday playing at AV Alta out in California. Then the following week and a half later, on Wednesday, May 14th, they'll be at Chattanooga. And then May 17th, tight turnaround to get up to Portland, Maine to play the Portland Hearts of Pine before returning home on May 25th. It's the next home game. So almost a month between home games here. So if you weren't planning on going, you might want to change your plans to get out there because we're not going to see these boys back at home for almost a month.
Yeah, this I think will be an FC Naples first, where I think this is going to be the first game in club history where we are both going to be out of town.
Yeah, I'm pretty bummed. Had to miss last week's games because of work, and then this weekend have to go up to a wedding in Philadelphia. Um, Not great
Somebody did
planning
not
on
check
my
the
part.
sport. Somebody
Pretty
didn't check the sports calendar. How did they?
no,
Whoever's getting married, how did they not check the FC Naples schedule?
right.
I
It's
mean,
like
how
they don't
dare they?
even know. How dare they?
You should write that in the card.
I will. Tried to
Have the
convince my
game
wife
streaming on
that
the.
we tried to convince my wife that we shouldn't go. Again, she came back with, "Well, now we'll just have extra chips for later games, for beer." So, I mean, I guess she's right. I will probably be watching on my phone at the wedding reception. Not gonna lie.
That's fine.
Um,
During the
yeah,
service, it's a little, that's a
sir,
little
that'd be
much.
a little rude. Little
It'd be a little
rude.
bit to watch it in church, but the reception's fair game. Quite
Yeah.
frankly, weddings that don't have TVs for the big sporting events on, like I missed the Alabama Georgia game because I was at a wedding this year, which we got back to the Airbnb and we were like, this game's close. Like, how did that happen? So obviously we were checking scores, but um, yeah, wedding at TV at the wedding, ideal.
Must. And especially if they don't have the Jägermeister Cup on the TV at the wedding. I mean, who are they?
Why would they even invite me to their wedding?
Right.
Like,
Crazy.
ridiculous, ridiculous.
Well, also, who gets married during college football season? Like, at least this one, fall. It's still the first round of the playoffs, first round of the Jägermeister Cup. So, like, okay,
It's
it's
fair,
understandable,
you know.
fair.
I have actually had this discussion on multiple occasions, and let me tell you, it doesn't go well when you talk about timing, trying to work it around sports. And if that's the reason, let me tell you, it doesn't end well. Um, Really, if it's not in August or July, but like down here, it's just so hot.
Right.
Having a July or August wedding, like now you're being, do you want to miss a football game or a sporting event, or do you want to sweat? Like those are your options. There really isn't. I mean, maybe. I mean, January is playoff football. I mean, you can't do it then. So
Right.
there needs to be like one weekend in the fall where everybody just takes a break and like all weddings that weekend.
Yes. And we should do like everyone has a bye week that week. And
Hmm.
it's also an international break for soccer
Yep. Yep.
and no sporting events, only
But no
weddings.
big like it can't be like a UEFA like
No, no,
it can't
just
be
like
qualified
friendlies or like
friendlies.
Nations League qualifying or
Right.
one of those
Yes,
like
something
England
where
versus Moldova, those kind of
yes.
games.
I was gonna say U.S. versus Trinidad and Tobago, but we know how that went.
That's a sensitive subject. We're not going to talk about that.
Um, yeah, Ian, what do you got? I think next, in our recap next week, we should do predictions. That's poor planning on our part that we didn't come, or did you come prepared to give your predictions for the Jägermeister group winners?
Yeah, I think out of Group 6, we'll work backwards here. Group 6, I think Charleston. It's Charleston's to lose based off of the start of their season. Um, but be on the lookout for the Rowdies to kind of start turning the ship around. That could be interesting. But I think Charleston's kind of the projected favorite, if you will.
I would agree.
Group 5, I
Make
think I'm
sure you
gonna
write
go.
these down. Make sure you write these down so we can review them. Write these down. We're really good at taking notes during the games, so we'll just keep that trend going.
Oh yeah.
While you're writing that down, I agree. Charleston out of group 6. I'm gonna go Louisville FC, Louisville City FC out of group 5. I think the same sort of deal. I mean, they've looked really good in group play. They're sitting, I think, in third or fourth. Um, that's where I'm going.
That's a good pick. I really like Loudoun United. They're having a huge season. Played 7, won 6 of those, scored 13 goals. I think that one might be Loudoun United's to lose. I'll tell you who's not going to win that group, and that is the former USL League One team who I think has like 15 people attend each of their games in Lexington SC. Just had to throw some shade there. I don't know why I don't like them so much, but I don't. Who you like out of Group 4?
So this one, as I'm looking at it, I would say that Detroit City, and I'm trying really hard not to just pick. And I guess Louisville, they're second in the table behind Loudoun, so you took the favorite in that one. But I got a special connection to Detroit, so that's where I'm gonna go in that one.
Little D2 Roy. Yeah, I like Detroit City there. I kind of like Hartford. Hartford, I think, is going to put together a little run here. But, actually, let's scrap all that. Let's go Rhode Island FC. They opened
Did
up their
you
new stadium. They were in the USL Championship Finals last year. Rhode Island FC to win
you
Group 4.
saw you saw Hartford's record and you had to do a 180. They're 1-0 and 1 win 4 loss record, and you said probably the wrong horse to pick.
I am gonna plead the fifth on that one. I've always liked Hartford's colors, kind of bringing back, we're hockey fans, that Hartford Whalers look.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I saw them play the Tampa Bay Rowdies a couple years ago, and they fought back after being down 2-0. So they hold a special place in my heart just for that. But then, yes, I did look at the table, and then I saw Rhode Island FC's in that group, and I went with them. Also, Rhode Island FC, really cool logo. All right, Group 3, who you got there? This is like the SEC meets the Big Ten, this group.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. So, I think Chattanooga, right, is eliminated. I think that they are going to provide no fight. I think this is where you get the. I think this is where you get the USL team. As much as like the Indy 11 means to that city, and they've started out kind of slow. I'm going to go with One Knoxville. Hungry off their loss in the U.S. Open Cup. I'm going to go Indy. I'm going to go with One Knoxville to win Group 3.
Yeah, I like that. I like Ford Madison, although they've kind of been off to a slow start.
That was the other team I was thinking of. I think if there's a group, that gets the dub from the USL League One, it's going to be that one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go FC Tulsa here. I don't think Tulsa's done a whole lot in their young history.
So they're 4 wins, 2
But yeah,
losses.
they seem to be pretty good in the West so far. Let's go FC Tulsa to win that group. Sorry to my USL one teams. I think you're right though. I think if we do get a USL League One group winner, not just because this is the one with 3 in it, but I do think USL League One could take the.
Well, you look too, and
I guess they
it's
all
not.
have 3 in it.
Yeah, but it's not just that. It's a Ford Madison club that's historically been very competitive, and a One Knoxville team that is looking really good so far.
Yeah, and Chattanooga's not been bad either.
I must have misread where they were in the table. I thought that they're ninth. Okay, so one win, three draws, and a loss. So not too bad. You're right.
All right, what about Group 2? Now we're headed out west.
I'm gonna let you take Group Two first. I don't want to steal
Um,
your thunder.
I'm gonna go not Texoma.
Man, dark horse. I think this could be a Texomas for the taking.
Yeah, we got to see what kind of odds we can get on Texoma to win that group. Just throw a fiver on it.
Their point total has to be for the group at point five. Like, will they even get a point in their four games? Has to be
I
the
I
better question.
I'm gonna love when they win this whole thing and then they replay this clip at their celebration.
And then we can take credit for it. I like it.
Yep. I'm gonna go Colorado Switchbacks, defending USL Championship champions, the Switchbacks. Let's go with them. I think they've been off to a slow start, but I think they're going to kind of get into it, and they've got that home field advantage at altitude.
Yeah, it's a good pick. Which is why I wanted you to go first, because if you were going to take Colorado, I wasn't. And I'm going to go with the El Paso Locomotive, just because I think that's the best name in this tournament.
The
And based
only
on
way I
March
think El
Madness,
Paso Locomotive could get better if they spelt it the like former Soviet locomotive team way with like a just a K.
yeah, I think that works in March Madness, picking teams to advance on their coolness of their name or mascot. So I'm going to take the same strategy here.
Cool logo too, not gonna lie. All right, Group 1.
I mean, Oakland Roots is going to be my team, right? Like I think um, it's going to be my team. Which is why I'm not going to pick them because they're really bad. I'm going to go with Monterey Bay to win this. They've historically been a strong team. They've started out 4-2-2, 14 points, sitting third in the West. Um, I think that they have a good chance to pull this one out.
Yeah, this is tough. This is another one I can see your AV Altas or your Spokane Velocities maybe squeaking this out because I think it's a very mediocre group from the USL Championship. I don't think any of those sides are like really are popping off the table. Monterey Bay I think is good. I think that's a good pick. I don't really like Las Vegas. I don't really like you said, Oakland's really been struggling. I'm Sacramento Republic. I'm seeing where they're at in the table now. Again, not a big one, or not might not be the best pick. I'll go Orange County SC. I know they won the league a couple years ago. I love a team that has the name County in it. Something unique. I'll go OCSC.
And I think that this tournament is going to be far too crazy for us to take wild cards. And if either one of us didn't take FC Naples as one of our wild cards, this would become more of a professional podcast where we have journalistic integrity and can't be homers. But I am a homer, and I would be taking Naples. If I didn't take them to win the group, I would definitely have to take them as a wild card.
So, out of all of the USL League One teams, who do you think stands the best chance to make it out of the group stage, whether it be as a wild card or whether it be as a group winner? Who do you like the
I,
best out of
I
those?
I do think Homer side takeaway
Not FC Naples. We should take that off the table
I
because
was gonna
I would
say
also pick them.
I do think that they based on who's in there, we've already played Tampa Bay. Um, so now you're competing with one other USL one team, assuming Charleston Battery. I mean, kind of tough for us that we're playing all three USL teams, championship teams. So that might hinder us without looking um, at schedules. Um, of who they're actually playing. I think you're right with AV Alta to get out of Group One potentially, and I mean I picked One Knoxville, but I think Group Three sees one of those three teams. I have Knoxville being the primary, but I could see Ford Madison sneaking their way in as well.
Yeah, I think out of that group too, Chattanooga's proven they love a cup competition. They went out to Las Vegas in the Open Cup and beat them on penalties. They keep advancing in that tournament, which is a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I could see Knoxville. I think that might have to be my pick, but I really like Spokane. They're in the big group with all the California teams, all the West Coast teams. I might have to go Spokane there. I think Spokane might match up well against all those
Yeah, and
Group
I
One
think
teams.
that's too where matchups matter. Like, do they get Oakland? Are they playing the Oakland Roots? I mean, 'cause you got to think that they could scratch together 3 points against that side. And that's where the uneducated opinion here comes in, where like we're not looking at who they're playing because it really does matter. Naples are going to have 3 USL championship games, which is going to make it really tough to get out of a as a wild card. Going to be really tough. Even if you pick up the full 3 against the League One team, you would probably have to win one other game and take one at least to penalties. I'm going to guess you're going to need at least 7 or 8 points to be a wild card
Yeah,
team,
at
especially with
least.
the fact that draws are worth 2 points potentially. Um, I'm going to guess that the wild card teams are going to need 8 points, if not more. That's a tall task for a USL one team having to play 3 championship opponents. Um,
Yeah, it does look like Spokane actually opens with Oakland Roots, like you said, your new team this Sunday, 7 p.m. kickoff
oh,
at
I'll watch that
home.
on the plane.
Yeah, there you go. ESPN Plus.
Yeah, back to Saturday. And what's your prediction um, gonna be?
All bias aside, my true journalist opinion, I think FC Naples wins at 2-1. We grind out a 2-1 win. Late goal from Farine. And I think we might see the outside the box goal. I do think, looking more at Charleston, I think their back line is there for the taking. I think if we could beat them with pace, get a couple balls in the box, let Henderlong do his thing, I think they're there for the taking. I think we could score against them. It's going to be, can we hold up? Can our back line hold up against their very aggressive midfield and Cal Jennings, who scored 5 goals so far this season?
So part of me thinks that this is going to be like a 4-1 for Charleston. Another part of me thinks 1-1. And we see what happens in penalties. Uh, I'm going to go with some scoring is going to happen. I think FC Naples could get the first goal. If that happens, I see this being a 2-2 draw. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go 2-2 draw, and Charleston wins it 5-3 on penalties.
I like it. I like it. This should be a really fun tournament. I'm really looking forward to this. Getting a chance to stack up against USL Championship sides should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to the Miami away day coming up the end of May. That's going to be a lot of fun. Across the alley, we got to come up with another rivalry for that one. I don't know if it's the Alligator Alley Derby or what, but I'm sure we'll work on it.
We'll
We'll
find
workshop
something.
it.
Find something.
Paul, any last thoughts before we go?
Saturday is going to be fun, and I think that it's one of those times the lights are going to be bright, and it's an opportunity to enjoy it and compete. That's the name of the game. The outcome, we'll talk about that next week, and but that's not what's important. The opportunity for these guys to grow, play another game together, and just an opportunity to compete.
Yeah, I like that. We're still so, like, it's hard to fathom, like, this team is only 2 months old at this point.
Hmm.
Not even.
Not even.
It's still a young team, still a lot of growing to do, and I think kind of having that pressure taken off with this new competition. Although I've been saying let's go win the Jägermeister Cup,
Hmm.
um, it's kind of pressure off. Let's just get back to our roots. Just go out there and play. Let's just go out there and play football. What everyone's kind of wanted to see, and I think, like you said, it's gonna be a fun game. Let's see what this team's made out of. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week's edition. We apologize coming at you a little late compared to how we've been releasing in the beginning. If you couldn't tell, this is a very, very amateur podcast. We're not doing this full time. If you'd love to support us and have us do it full time, I think we would both gladly do that. But we're just having fun making episodes. Two friends talking about FC Naples and USL League One, and now the Jägermeister Cup. Paul, you ready for some Jägermeister this weekend?
Ready for some Jägermeister. Jaeger bombs all around.
Let's do it. I got to go find that Jägermeister buried back deep in my freezer. But thank you so much for listening. Up the Naples, and we will talk to you all soon.